Well, before we get into some classic Degrassi-inspired carnage and a flying Marty Party gate crash, let's go stat-tastic with the Stat Pack powered by Infosys. In this section, we'll dive into the top 3 insights from the Sao Paulo E-Prix. Infosys, the digital innovation partner for the Formula E Championship, is a global leader in next-generation digital services and enables enterprises to navigate their next. Now, let's jump into our segment and see how these key data points painted a picture of the race. Sam, what caught your eye after the first rounds from a stat point of view?
Well, I think one of the interesting things that I saw from the stats was Nick Cassidy and the way that he came through in the early stages of the race. Had that problem with the braking system on his car, was absolutely furious with his team. There was some really fruity radio language going on between him and his new engineer at Citroën Racing. But when you look at the different sectors that were going on in terms of the race in the early phase, the key one for me was the Sector 3 splits that Cassidy was achieving. And when you look at that level of consistency, you don't see it through the rest of the field, particularly in that crucial Sector 3. So for that reason, I'm choosing the Nick Cassidy Sector 3 subplot of how he built his race and then got into a position where he could get a podium and achieve it for Citroën Racing in their first Formula E race as the sort of key stat of the weekend, because I think that was really integral to the way that he and Citroën built their race.
Yeah, fascinating. Like you say, and the backbone of a great debut result for Citroën there. One thing that I've really noticed in the stat pack there, and it's something that really appeals to me because it's a job I tried to manually do back in the day. If this had only existed then, it would have made my life a hell of a lot easier. And that's the number of overtakes. And the great thing about the way they've done this is they've also broken out the ones that were done underneath attack mode, because obviously, while they're still crucial, having a significant performance advantage over the other cars on the grid does make them a bit more of a gimme. So 283 in total. I guess it's probably unsurprising given where he finished that Oliver Rowland did the most. So that was 26 in total, with 16 of those using attack mode. But what I found particularly interesting were those that managed to do the most overtakes not using attack mode. Edo Mortara, of his 14 moves, only 6 were using attack mode. So, that's to have the majority of your overtakes being done driving effectively normally. I think, one, it shows what a solid drive, and obviously the performance of that Mahindra car, but also, his the potential that was there, that obviously ultimately went unfulfilled.
And wasn't it interesting as well, Lucas Di Grassi, I think he did have 22 competitive overtakes and 19 that were done under attack mode. I think as an aggregate that was the most, and I think that just fits into his volatile race that he had entirely, which we're not unused to seeing, are we? I mean, Lucas is great sort of cabaret value, but listen, if you're not going to do that in your home race when you started from the back of the grid with a penalty anyway, when are you going to do it? And obviously it ended in a hail of crunched carbon fibre with Mortara to trigger that safety car. But certainly you wouldn't. Di Grassi wasn't one for trying and making moves, and okay, some of them were slightly on the desperate side, but certainly as a combined effort, Lucas Di Grassi was pretty strong. This episode is brought to you by Infosys. When enterprises turn to AI, they need more than tools. They need a partner who can scale innovation responsibly. That's where Infosys comes in. From modernising systems to deploying enterprise-grade AI, Infosys helps businesses lead with confidence. Beyond the boardroom, Infosys is transforming the world of electric racing as the official digital innovation partner of Formula E. Visit Infosys.com to learn more about how Infosys is helping businesses stay ahead of the game.
Yeah, and I hope that they, as the season goes on, they have a cumulative tally on these as well, because I think it'll be fascinating when we get further in to see how those stats play out, whether there are people who rely more on attack mode to get the result done, or those that are actually able to pull the moves off on track. But of course, if you're at the front most of the race, you probably don't have to overtake many people, do you?
Indeed. I think we'll finish, while we're talking stats, let's finish on Norman Nato. We saw how disappointed Norman was with that contact with his teammate, which was less than ideal. Bent a track rod and he was out of the race. But his record at the Anhembi Sambadrome is poor. So Brazil hasn't been kind to Norman Nato, and that trait continued last weekend.
And it didn't reflect his overall pace at all, did it? I mean, this is one of his stronger outings, and again, coming away with nothing.
Yep, he led the race for a couple of laps, didn't he? Good support to Nissan. We questioned that at the start of the season after his poor 2025. But, he showed a lot more motivation, I think, to get moves done. And ironically, it was the one with Roland which was the undoing. But certainly, I think you can probably apportion that as a 50-50, and the team will be investigating that back at their factory to see how they don't repeat that in the future for sure.